I like to think of Christmas like an unexpected kiss. Soren Kierkegaard told a parable once that goes a bit like this. Once, there was a true king, a king of majesty and might, and he was loved by all the people, for he was noble and his judgments right. But at the same time, he was feared throughout the land, and in his presence people trembled, and for awe they could not stand, but bowed their faces to the ground and dared not look or make a sound, for in all the earth then it was known that all power was his, and his alone. Then once, as this king was walking on a summer's morn out through the woods, in the glistening light of dawn he heard a maiden singing. Sweet and clear, melodious, open-throated beauty pouring through his pores and in his ears, and he turned and looked, and she was there. Her bright eyes sparkling in the morning air, she was poor, dressed with humble elegance she stood, singing sweetly as she gathered wood. All the birds hushed to listen in the trees above, and in that quiet moment, the true king fell in love. And as the king walked home that day, his thoughts buzzed with all the words he'd wanted oh so much to say, and he thought of how tomorrow he would go, in all his glory, banners emblazoned bright behind him, trumpets telling out their royal story right up to that maiden's forest home, and he would ask her then to be his own. But then a thought, like bitter steel of old, wormed into his heart and whispered cold, "She will say yes, but will she love you? Or will your bride be simply frightened of you? She will say yes, but will she know you? Before you've even said a word, do you expect that all those trumpets will let the whispers of real love be heard? She will say yes, but is there any other choice? The greatest queen would quake and tremble at your voice. She will say yes, but will she secretly be sad, pining for the simple life that once she had? She will say yes, but will she love you? Will her sweet smile be genuine or pure? She will say yes, but will she know you? You will never really know for sure." And the king shivered, because he knew that everything the thought had said was true, and he wanted oh so desperately for her to love him too. So the true king chose a different story. He did not ride out in awesome glory, but instead he laid down all his armor. He took off all his robes, he left his weapons all behind, and a beggar's cloak he chose. Cold and rough and simple, low and base and bare, he walks out lonely to the wood to seek his beloved there. His feet all naked, dirtied by the muddy track, his strong heart pounding, hoping that she'll love him back. So I like to think of Christmas like an unexpected kiss. Like we are like that maiden and God is like that king, and he wanted to be close to us because he loves us more than anything. But who can stare into the sun and see its beauty? Who can stare into the sun and not be blinded by the light? It's only when it cloaks itself with the horizon that its red gold glory dances on the edge of night, and we delight to see its colours. He knew we would be dazzled by his rightful glory. He knew we would be baffled by his awesome might, and we would never hear the whispers of his grace or glimpse the look of love upon his face. So he emptied himself of all his glory, took off all his blinding light, and when he stepped into our story, he was a deeply unimpressive sight. A baby. I don't know if you've noticed, but they are ridiculously small and weak and needy. When God was born, he couldn't hold his head up straight because his neck wasn't strong enough. And as a kid, he was a refugee in Egypt. He was a teenage mother's son. Our God revealed himself to us in a struggling family on the run. And then he was a trainee carpenter, and then a full-grown man who loved and did impossible things and said, before Abraham was, I am. Said, I'm the God who is there and always has been. And I really am here, and I really do care, and it's only by my power that you are breathing air. I'm the only lasting source of life. I'm worth anything you've ever wanted, and I'm everything you'll ever need, and I can bring you to a glorious forever if you'll only let me take the lead. Look, I've come to show you that I love you utterly, and I've done what it takes to make you my own, and I'm asking you please to make the choice to hear my voice and to come home. The king came wooing as a beggar, dressed in flesh and blood and skin, so we could know him as a person eye to eye, so we could start to fall in love with him. And if there's anything that's beautiful in life, it's this. The open promise of that unexpected kiss.